Hey, welcome back everybody. My name is Robert Marzullo and I'll be your instructor for this course, Digital Painting in Manga Studio. So I'm excited to show you this course because I really enjoy using this program to paint. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite, if not the favorite. So first thing I like to do is start with the canvas. I work at a lot of different sizes. This is 1920 by 1080 at 600 dpi, as you can see right up here. So pick whatever you're comfortable with. And I like to try not to always work over a blank white canvas. So the first thing I'll do is go to my gradient tool over here or here. Use foreground to background, which will just select from these two swatches. I'll grab this color and let's see. Try to stay a little bit on the desaturated side. I tend to oversaturate my work, so the longer I can stay in a desaturated fashion, the better. So just something like that. You can use a textured background, whatever you're comfortable with. But I just like something there, so a little easier on the eyes anyways. Okay, so now what I want to start with in this digital painting course is the basic stuff. I think that a lot of teachers and artists and digital painters tend to go right for the hard stuff, characters and scene creation. And although we'll get to that, and I'm excited to do that because that's my favorite too, we got to do some elements, some basic elements that are going to be in the scene. We're going to start with rock formations because I think they're relatively easy, but they explain a lot. So let's get started on that. All right, so there's a couple different ways to start creating your shapes. Obviously, just drawing them in and using that as a selection mode is one. For rock formations, I'm going to take it a step easier and just take it with the lasso tool, lasso marquee right here. So, and this isn't a right or wrong way, it's just a way. You can do whatever's comfortable for you. And I am using a tablet, obviously. I don't think I could do this with a mouse, maybe, with years and years of practice. But I have a tablet and it makes it a lot easier, so that's what I would recommend. All right, so all I'm doing is drawing that selection in. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a rock formation, and I did this kind of spiky thing. I don't know what I'm picturing here, but just something not so boring. And then you just fill it. So I got it on a separate layer. Now keep in mind, if it didn't come out the way that you like, you can hold Shift and add to your selection. Command Z to go back. You can hold Alt and subtract from your selection. And I'm going to let you know something. If you have worked with Photoshop before and you're a Photoshop guy, then you're in luck because this program has a lot of the same shortcut commands and it's like kind of a mirror image in a lot of ways of Photoshop, but it's got some real unique features that I think separate it as well. So let's say I want to fix this little section over here, hold Shift, give it a couple little random bumps or whatever. Let's try that, although I feel like it's too spiky. Let's break some of those off. Nope. I was holding Alt when I thought I was holding Shift. And I will make mistakes from time to time, so be ready. Yeah, I mean, we can start with this because I'm going to show you some other workarounds too once you're already, into it. So let's go ahead and take a bit of maybe a sandstone color, something like that. You can either hit fill here or grab your paint bucket here or a brush, whatever you want to use, and just fill that in. Now we can hit Command D, Control if you're using a PC, obviously. And there's our quick rock formation. So we're done. That's it. Thanks for watching. No, obviously that's not it, but it's a quick start. So, and it's pretty crude, obviously. But the beauty of it is you can come over here, hit Lock Transparent Pixels, and bam, you are ready to paint and you can't go outside the lines. Don't we all wish we had that as kids? I know I do. Okay, so now we can go to a darker tone region. We can even saturate it or add a little bit more color just to give us, we want to start building up from this real boring shape that we got. There's a couple ways to do it. I think that whenever you create a painting, you should have a combination of hard edge shadows and soft edge shadows. So we'll start with the airbrush. We'll leave it on stronger for now. And you can control your density and all that and hardness down here. So you can copy my settings there if you need to. And I'm just going to just start giving myself some shadows to figure out a light source. So first off, you could probably do like one major shadow on the larger forms. You could size the brush way down, use it more like a pencil, and obviously you're going to want some shapes up front too, so this doesn't look so flat. So you could make some shapes that are contradictory and kind of heading in different directions. So we're basically drawing within that locked area and just creating a few other shapes. So I'll just play around with this. This doesn't have to be perfect. One of the things to remember is that we're working in a very non-destructive approach anyways. So you don't have to get anything perfect or right at this stage because it's real easy to fix. You just paint back and forth. Sometimes you're going to get your happy little accidents, right? So you're going to get those by not tensing up and worrying about it, just letting things kind of organically flow and figuring it out as you go. Sometimes you'll come up with your best work that way, honestly. It's kind of sad though, because then you wonder if it's really you controlling the painting or the painting controlling you. Scary thought. Okay, so there's some of our rock formation, and you can see I just want to keep going because I'm more of came from more of a drawing background, so I'm like wanting to draw every rock, and I have to fight that because that's not really how you paint necessarily. The painting will form as you add gradation and different colors and all that. You don't really have to draw every little stone like I'm wanting to do right now. So there's that. There's the beginning stage of that. And we've got some shadow, we've got some form, and we can quickly work up from there. Now, one of the things I want to do, because I want to show you the progression of this work as well. I think it's helpful to do it, especially when you start learning how to create this stuff. If you hold Alt on your keyboard and drag over with the Move tool right there, it'll create a copy for you. Transparency stays locked, which is nice. Let me actually take the airbrush on stronger, hold Alt, select the brighter color, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint that in to what it originally was. Again, so I can show you the stages of the progression. So Command T, hold Shift, so it'll size it. Actually, you don't even have to hold Shift on this one. So it's Command T to just resize. Hit Enter, Move tool again, and we'll move this up over here, out of the way. And we'll probably even just take that visually off right now. And I'll do it one more time. So again, that we can see a bit of progression. Command T, scale that down, hit Enter, and remove the visibility right there. Okay, so one of the things when creating like a rock formation or a variety of different shapes, you've got to have some hard edge stuff. Like right now it looks kind of soft and pillowy or something. It just doesn't look like a rock. It doesn't have any kind of solidarity or whatever to it. It's just kind of flimsy. So what we need to do is incorporate some hard edge shadows. Now, one of the things that I really like using to do that in Manga Studio is this paintbrush right here, the smooth watercolor. And this brush is just amazing. It's really neat because, well, I'll show you. Basically, you can get in here and say we want to define some of our planes of this rock formation. We can sample any tone that's already here by holding Alt, select it, and nice hard edge effect. Which obviously you can do that with a lot of brushes, so that doesn't seem all that special. But the beauty of it is you can not only apply that effect, you can blend that effect at the same time. And all I'm doing to do that is pressing down hard for the stronger shadow and the flat edge, and then lightly pressing, almost not at all, but very lightly pressing, and I can blend with the same brush, all in one instance. I don't have to select another brush, I don't have to do anything. I can just do it all by just pressure sensitivity. So to me that's pretty cool, and it makes for a really great workflow, and especially with stuff like this. I can just really get in here and start painting away. I generally will try to get as much range of color as I can before I do too much of this, because what it allows me to do is just sample from those colors on my palette here and keep working. And then I really don't have to step away from the painting a whole lot. I can kind of keep moving forward. So I would recommend that first, but I can start getting these harder edge effects in there and defining the planes of the rock formations. So that's all I'm doing. And if I need like a brighter tone or a brighter color, obviously I can just grab it from the color picker. Another way to do it is to grab the airbrush tool and go to highlight. You can select the brighter color and just paint across it really fast. You don't want to do it too much because it'll give you this really punched up over bright highlight, I guess, but which we'll use a little bit of that later. But for now, we're just trying to define some basic light sources. So you can just quickly dab that in there. Go back to your smooth watercolor, hold Alt and grab from any of these different ranges, and just worry about painting your planes. So to do that, I'm just basically hitting an area. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see it better. I'll start off with a hard edge and then blend it out and just repeat that process, and that will just allow me to define some planes and some flat edges to these rocks. And remember to blend it, press softer. You can even increase the brush size and it'll blend it really fast with really light pressure. And if you're not familiar with the way that rock formations work, then just feel free to pull reference. It's not a bad thing to look at reference. What you want to get in the habit of doing is studying the reference, learning the little tricks, the way that light works, the way that textures work, things like that. And you won't necessarily need as much reference as you progress, but I recommend always going back to reference. Even if you don't need it, even if nobody's saying, hey, your rocks look funny, hey, your faces are out of whack, whatever. The reason you go back to reference is we all have pretty good memory. Well, I don't know, my memory's pretty shot actually. But even if you have this great memory, it's rare to have a photographic memory, and even still, I think you would miss some things. So you're better off going back to the reference just to keep your ideas fresh and what they are, and in turn, you're going to stylize your work anyways, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think anybody recreates everything photorealistic. Even if they're trying to, it just seems like it always has a bit of style to it. Even the most photorealistic depictions I've seen have a bit of style in there. So that's going to happen naturally. It's okay to study reference. I do recommend it. So especially things like this. So yeah, I'll just kind of get in here. I'll keep selecting from the current colors that I have and just try to feel out the forms and work up some rocky looking masses. Always keep in mind too, I leave this navigator window open so that I can see my work from a distance, because it's real easy to get in the habit of studying things up close and forgetting what it all looks like from a long ways out. And a lot of your paintings are going to be viewed, like this, from a distance. Or they should at least read well from a distance. Maybe people are zooming in and checking out all your cool little nuances of your painting. That's great. But if it doesn't read well from a distance, they may never click on it to check out the details, or want to see it in large format, whatever, on a wall. It may never get to that point. It's got to read well from a distance, and all the small details have to work well together. And we'll talk more about composition and things like that as we progress. Again, this is more just to get the basic ideas down, but that little navigator window can save you a lot of heartache. So I suggest leaving that open. All right, so you can see I'm starting to get a little bit more planes in there. One way to get planes, just so you know, is separation. So you do, a flat edge, smooth it out, separation, another flat edge, and you can kind of repeat that process and build all kinds of different little shapes in your rock formation that way. The trickiest thing is not to be so repetitive. It's at least one of the ones I face. So you got to try to really mix it up. But yeah, all good definition in painting and even drawing comics or whatever you're doing is by separation of light and shadow. It's pretty basic in that regard, but it's getting the details right in the way that you do that, the subtleties, the minutia of it all, that really separate a good artist from somebody that's still waiting to be a good artist. I don't want to say a bad artist. I don't think there's a bad artist. I don't really believe that anyways, for the fear that I might be in that category. Okay, so little planes there. I think it's starting to come together. It still looks a bit flat, or not flat because I'm trying to flatten it out, but a bit boring in some areas. Okay, so now because I could do this part all day as well. And this isn't going to be as much me trying to show you how well I can paint a rock formation as explaining all the elements of it.